Welcome to Fitness and Thinking, a podcast interested in 6 pillars of wellness. We have the physical, mental, social, spiritual, emotional and financial. And Nicole's driven all the way from Bristol
I have.
to pitch in with this one. What have you taken from our chat just now?
I think it's been really nice chatting to a man about some of the things, obviously, that we've spoken about, which are more female specific, but also some of your questions that you've, I guess, challenged me on and challenged my thinking has been really insightful as well. Like I love being challenged and I love thinking in a different way. So I think, yeah, again, coming at it from a different perspective and being able to chat about my experience versus your experience and versus coaching other people, it's been really interesting.
Nice. I really liked the way that you call me out on balance.
Oh, hormone balancing. Yeah.
I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Because you weren't defensive about it. You're just like, no, this is my understanding of it. And I'm very happy to change the way that I word it. Yeah. So we're going to get into that as well. I think also for people interested in maybe going from corporate to finding their own flow with things. There might be some inspiration there, but then also you've come full circle, haven't you?
Yeah. Listening to the episode, you'll find out. But going from a corporate job and life, and then starting my business in women's health and education, and then now coming back, full circle of going back into the corporate spaces and teaching people how to support women better inside the workplace and outside the workplace.
Yeah. And I think we just need to say what we all need to say. Nicole has a podcast. Obviously, this podcast, it only grows if people support it. They like, share, comment, all that good stuff. I really enjoyed this.
Yes, I hope you enjoy, everyone.
All right. So I was at one of your talks recently.
Yeah.
And you said...
Oh, here we go. What did I say?
That women weren't little men.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Mainly, I think my background is obviously hormonal health.
Yeah.
So in that statement, male and female hormones run on different lengths of time and different periods of time. Mainly being men have like a 24-hour cycle, women have a monthly cycle. Sure. So that's probably what I meant in terms of that talk. I think relating it to fitness, though, obviously, because this is part of the podcast too, the main principles, if a woman went into the gym, wanted to grow muscle, all the things are the same, like progressive overload, you have to follow a plan, you have to eat the right food, all of that is the same, but there are going to be slight differences of potentially how women feel, how they look, depending on their different cycle times.
We had a woman come into the gym yesterday who's a little bit annoyed that there weren't any women's weights.
Interesting.
How does that make you feel?
I personally don't like that statement.
I'm unsure about it, yeah.
Because, in my opinion, weights are weights.
Yeah.
A man can use them, a woman can use them, anyone can use them. I would be interested to know how old that lady was, because those types of statements, stereotypically that I see, are from slightly different generations.
For sure. So if we were to say 50 and above.
Yes, I would say that makes sense. Yeah. But again, that's only because of societal things that were around when they were growing up, or potential workout plans that they followed, or information that they're consuming. Yeah. I do know in some gyms they have women-specific areas, which for someone who's maybe a bit nervous, very new to the gym, or cultural differences, that's a big one that a lot of people miss. They are quite beneficial. But in terms of general weights, they're for everyone, in my opinion, yeah.
No, I'm 100% with that. And as somebody who coaches predominantly women and non-binary folk, I wouldn't want gendered weights.
Yes, 100%, yeah.
I would want everybody to feel that they can access the weights room, they can access the cardio, they don't have to just turn left or right, whatever the layout is.
Yeah.
But I completely respect the want culturally for a different space. I think that's smart. In Sheffield, there's a gym that has a massive women's weights area, which is class, and it's predominantly a Muslim community.
Yeah.
There. So that just makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no issue with that.
Yeah.
It's when the plates go missing.
That's a whole different story, though. That's a whole different story. Or when someone doesn't put their weights back.
Yeah.
that is a different story.
But I think no matter your background, no matter your gender, no matter your sex, no matter how you identify, a weight should be a weight.
Yes, 100%.
That you can pick up and put down.
Yeah, and actually, just that's made me think of sometimes when you see like pink coloured things or blue coloured things, as in girl weights, female weights,
That's
would
what
be
I
pink.
thought she was asking for, yeah.
Which again is just really frustrating in my opinion. So yeah, anyone can use anything.
I have like an idea of what we will talk about.
Yeah.
But I'm very interested in your perspective. I'm interested in the women's perspective, the AFAB perspective, because it's not something that I have as a cis man, you know, and it doesn't matter that my clientele can feed into my experience. It's still not my experience. And so I'm never going to be the person who can profess to be an expert on women's fitness.
However, you are an educated person and you base your stuff on science.
Sure.
So I actually saw on Instagram the other day another lady in the women's health space speak about this, and I thought it was amazing. The amount of women, they get annoyed with men talking about women's experiences or certain things that they don't experience. In my opinion, they can talk about it if they're looking at the research, they're looking at the science, they're looking at what is proven. Yes, you're not going to feel it in the same way, but you can still make the right decisions, guidance, support, advice based on the information that's available to you. So I'd never say not to talk about something just because you haven't experienced it yourself.
I think it's just a position of empathy and accepting that I don't know everything. And that's how I would always want to coach, is that it's a conversation.
Yeah.
And something that has come up for me very recently, I spoke with Ed Francis, who was on a couple of episodes before this one. She has an indwelling catheter and her life was flipped upside down, to quote the Fresh Prince, when she was diagnosed ultimately with Fowler's syndrome. Do you know about Fowler's?
No, I don't.
So Fowler's is a very specific female-only condition that is to do with the sphincter muscles in the urethra not relaxing.
Okay.
And typically for younger women, it's that you have an overactive bladder.
Yep.
So you go to the toilet, too much.
Yep.
Whereas this one, there's just no release at all.
Wow.
Do you know the other demographic that typically displays these symptoms?
No.
It's old men.
Wow.
And because Ev is not an old man,
Yeah.
doesn't have the same entitlement to care, support.
Yeah, because she's a minority within that space.
Yeah. And although she described her experience, particularly with the urology department, as quite positive and she got what she needed from them, when it came to neurology, she was actively told things like, have you tried positive thinking?
Oh, gosh. Oh, that drives me insane.
And, her diagnosis didn't come for a while from neurology because of stress or, other things going on in your life. I'm just wondering, is this an experience that you could relate to and speak on?
Yes, from personal experience and also from a lot of women that I work with in my coaching and one-to-one, and just now being in the women's health space and knowing people within that community, the dismissal of symptoms, how you're feeling, and again, your experience from different professional people, whether that be medical or others, is very high. Yeah. And a lot of it actually, a lot of people will say, oh, are you stressed? Or like, oh, have you tried doing X, Y, and Z? Or have you tried, self-care? Have you had a bath? And all these kind of things. It's like, well, yes, I am trying to reduce my stress. I think everyone's trying to reduce their stress. But in terms of like painful symptoms, for example, that could be across the board. The dismissal of that is, massive still.
And is that something that is male to female? Is it that doctors are particularly bad for it? Is it that nurses don't, like, at what level do you feel?
I think for me, I always say when you get a really good doctor, it's amazing and you get a great doctor, but it's such hit and miss if you have a good, or in my opinion, a bad doctor that isn't going to maybe explain things to you or listen to you properly and, actually write things down and then ask you questions. So I think, again, from my experience, other people that I know, when it comes to maybe medical things or getting a diagnosis of something, it can take a very, very long time because either people aren't listening to you or you maybe get referred to the wrong person or, they kind of give you something to try for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, and that doesn't work, and then you're doing something else. So it can take a very, very long time, and then obviously that just makes you feel even worse because you're not getting the answers to things.
This is obviously like a decade, centuries, millennia old issue.
Yeah.
But it's still happening.
Yeah.
Why is it still happening?
Yeah. Well, I think we are getting better, but I think it's because in terms of women's health, from where I'm sat, there hasn't been a lot of research. I can't say there's none, because there is. But women weren't, included in medical research until the 1990s. So we're very, very new compared to everything else that we're looking at. But it is getting better. And obviously it takes a long time to do research, complete it, have the findings, and then implement off the back of it. I do think that women, up until, when I say recently, I mean maybe the last, 20, 30 years, haven't really spoken out as much as we are now. And maybe have just got on with it and got on with things, whereas now we're actually wanting to find answers and wanting to know the reasons behind things. But I think it's a process. I think it's a very, again, generational thing of where we're at now. I think is like the biggest shift that's going to come through our generation and then the ones after us.
Something that I think is very specific to your experience and specific to my clients, specific to an AFAB population, is the use of the contraceptive pill. Sometimes as a panacea, it seems, from my perspective. So I know people who've been put on it because they've been slightly depressed. I know people who've been put on it because of maybe a lack of energy. So not even a mood thing, it's like an energy thing. And then there will be people who will want to take it fairly for, not wanting to have kids at a certain time. Absolutely. You have had an experience of being put onto it there. Could you talk us through that?
Yeah, of course. So I guess my story, and this is very similar, I'm sure, for lots of listeners. I had very, very bad skin from quite a young age when I first started having periods. Like, it was within probably the first year or two of me having my period, my skin was getting bad. And the immediate first thing that I was told, and my mum was told at the time, was to take a contraceptive pill and try different types of topical treatment because it was very like cystic acne. And I was on so many different types of hormonal contraceptive pills and creams for about 10 years. So a very long time. Parts of that 10 years, my skin was sometimes better and sometimes it wasn't. Nothing really got fixed fully. And then in my early 20s, when I started getting into, health and fitness and figuring out maybe what I wanted to do and what I found interesting, I decided to come off the contraceptive pill. And again, that opened up a whole can of worms. And I actually then, my acne was very bad again as an adult, which is a whole different thing. Actually, quite a lot of adults experience that. And I don't think that's spoken about enough, to be honest. So I went on to a very, very strong drug, which people may know as Roaccutane. So was on that for, I think, about 8-9 months. And at the time, that did clear up my skin. And I was incredibly happy. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Came off it. It all came back within probably 6 to 9 months again. And then actually I was like, I'm going to try really hard to figure out what the root cause of all my issues are. And here we are, maybe 5 years later, 4 or 5 years later. And I still obviously get the odd spot and things like that. But I actually have a little inkling, and I've been doing my own tests myself, that I have PCOS, but I haven't had a formal diagnosis. But from obviously the space that I'm in and my own tests that I've done and looking at bloods and things like that, I have a very, very strong, I'm 95% sure that I have PCOS.
From your experience of kind of self-experimentation, seeing these cycles, feeling these cycles, do you feel like it was the right call? Both to go on and then to come off?
Yeah, so to caveat this, as you said before, the pill and contraception in general has its place, right? If someone doesn't want to have children, or potentially if someone is having very extreme periods and menstrual cycles, it can help with symptoms. I think the main issue that I have, and this for me now looking back, and then when I speak to other women now, you are not told what the contraceptive pill does, and you are not told how it works and explain how it works in your body. So for someone who is going through puberty, for example, or through those first few years of when you first have your periods, your body is still regulating. Like, it's a very new thing. And you might have irregular periods. You might have, you know, crazy hormone swings and mood swings. So putting someone, in my opinion, that young on a hormonal contraceptive pill is covering up a lot of potential issues that you don't then find out the root cause for. And I think that's what happened to myself. And I think that is what's happened to a lot of women. And then in their 20s or even older, 30s, 40s, whatever, they're coming off these hormonal contraceptions and then almost going through like a second puberty, because everything that has maybe been masked by the hormonal contraception is now happening again. And you're like, oh my God, what do I do? I need to fix it. So for me personally, I don't think I should have gone on it. I feel like I should have explored other things and, you know, looked at on a deeper level maybe what was causing it, like I have now as an adult, and I've kind of figured it out, and I'm sure lots of people will relate, because it's a very common theme now I'm finding of women probably mid-20s up.
And is the experience that you're given the packet and you've got the piece of paper that's scrunched up in there and it's on you to read that, or is it just the doctor said? So
from memory, obviously when I had mine, obviously what they kind of say now is history of like breast cancers or blood clots and things like that. You have to ask about and make sure that your kind of family history is okay. But outside of that, this is the pill. You take it depending on what one you have, whether you take it every single day or whether you have a break and then you have a withdrawal bleed, which also you're not really explained what that is either. People think it's a period. It's not a period. It's like a fake period. And that's it. You're given it and then off you go. So, and obviously at the time, my mum didn't know anything about it. I'm sure other people's parents maybe are the same, or maybe they have done more research and they actually know what to ask for, things like that. But I wasn't in that position. So yeah, I was given it, taking it, and then I was on different ones for 10 years.
Being put on it is something that so many people will experience. And since coming off it and experimenting, how do you feel now?
I feel a lot better. My skin is a lot better. But actually, I feel like maybe I've gone through a slightly different journey as well, because I've also, in this last however many years of me, I guess, I hate the term finding yourself, but figuring out, what's going on. I also now know that I have ADHD. I didn't know that before. So my mood swings, for example, and my emotional regulation is probably like upper level compared to the neurotypical person, which again is a whole kind of thing to navigate. But yeah, overall, knowing my body, what changes at what time, how I feel, physical changes, mental changes, like everything. In my opinion, you can only know that if you allow your body to do everything on its own naturally, and then you figure out if there is an issue and you can kind of look into that and figure out, or everything's fine and you can then kind of roll with it, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. And there are 2 points. So one of my clients recently posted, and I would want to verify this, but you might have come across it, the notion that PCOS and ADHD might have a positive correlation. Have you come across this?
So I don't think it's just PCOS. I actually have a feeling that other menstrual conditions also, so it could potentially be endometriosis, PCOS, PMDD is another big one with the mood fluctuations, hormonal fluctuations, have a link to neurodivergence, whether that's ADHD or autism as well.
Is it worth just checking in? So polycystic ovary syndrome?
Yeah.
Help me with it's dysphoria. So is it perimenstrual or
nearly?
PMDD.
So premenstrual dysphoric dysphoria is PMDD.
ADHD, I think most people will be familiar with, and endometriosis is growths outside of the uterus.
Yes, outside of the womb. So the same tissue that is in the womb grows outside of it. Most of the time, you will find that in like the pelvic region. But again, there's been cases where it's across the body, which is, again, crazy.
Yeah, because it's effectively little tumours of those tissues, isn't it?
Yeah, it's how I describe it is like an inflammation disease, because you're having that tissue which goes through that process in places in your body that it's not naturally meant to be, or where it can kind of go through that natural process itself. So yeah, it's again very like interesting condition, and obviously more research needs to be done on it. It's becoming more of a thing, but actually all of those things linked together, even again in itself, how our hormones fluctuate as a woman without those conditions, add those conditions in, it's like, wow, okay, like you can dive in so deep into all of those different ones on its own.
And is the feeling that it is due to hormones?
The
kind of links, the fluctuations, seeing tissues grow in different places, because it's not necessarily common for cis men to respond.
So this. When we were saying before how men run on a shorter cycle than women do, we obviously, and when I'm talking about this, we're talking more about the sex hormones. Obviously we have lots of different hormones in our body, but for a menstrual cycle and those, we're talking about specific sex hormones. Both men and women have all three sex hormones, so testosterone, estrogen and progesterone, but we have them in different amounts, which then obviously contribute to different fluctuations, how your body works, how my body works, and the different functions that come off the back of that.
Yeah, amazing. And the second bit is a point that you've just brought up for me, so I'm intrigued by it, the idea of a second puberty.
Yeah.
Could you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I guess when I was talking earlier about me coming off the pill and then almost going through everything that I went through in puberty again, so the severe mood swings, crying for no reason, the severe acne coming back, that for me is what I was referring to. But actually also a lot of people refer to the perimenopause as a second puberty, because sometimes women can have all of that again when their hormones are going crazy at that point in time. So for me, it was more, I came off hormonal contraception, and then everything I was experiencing when I was 13 was happening when I was 23, 24 again. And then potentially I could go through that again in the next 10 years. Yeah. So it's, love being a woman.
The varied experiences that we'll all have are incredible. And like, I just want to hear more about it. When it comes to specifically 3 puberties, I don't know if I could go through a second one. When we think about that second puberty and hormones maybe going haywire and doing more than they typically would because they've not found homeostasis, it's about finding balance again. To have so many symptoms, experiences, people you're attracted to, foods that you might like, types of training you might prefer, all impacted by something that is exogenous. You might not necessarily know, like organically, what you'd be about if you didn't have the pill.
Yes. Oh my God, this is such an interesting topic, because I have had clients be on the pill and have their life, go about their day, then come off the pill, and this sounds extreme, but I'm being truthful. They now don't fancy their partner. They now don't like their job. They now have all of these things that were their normal. Now they're questioning everything, which again comes back to, you mentioned the word balance earlier. When it comes to hormones, for me, I actually don't like the word balance. Okay. It's more about regulation, because at any one point, your hormones are at different levels. So when we talk about hormonal health, actually it's about what's regulated for you, because what is regulation for my friend might not be my normal. So it's about what is regulated for you. Yeah. So when you are on hormonal contraception, for example, as I said before, it stops you at a high level, it stops you ovulating. If your body does not ovulate, you then don't get certain amounts of other hormones to then trigger other things in your body. If you were to look at a graph, when you are on hormonal contraception, your estrogen and progesterone, the two main ones, hormones that we were talking about earlier, are pretty flatlined.
Okay.
If you were to look at a graph of someone who isn't on hormonal contraception, you would see the peaks and troughs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, regulation looks like, up, down, different points. Yeah. So yeah, if you are on hormonal contraception and maybe you're, for much of a better word, you're stable, nothing really changes or does whatever, and then suddenly you come off it, and then your body's like, oh, now we go up, now we go down, now we do this, now we do that. It makes complete sense why you might feel differently. You might have different food tastes. You might, not like your friend who you've been friends with for 10 years. I don't know. But it makes so much sense if someone comes off it and then they're feeling completely different because your body is doing different stuff.
So maybe from a spiritual standpoint almost, is the pill a problem? Is it something that should be dug into a little bit more because it could curb a person's personality development?
That is such an interesting question. And I feel you have a psychology background, right? Yeah. I feel like that, even as like a research question, would be fascinating to do. I think, as I said before, the pill does have its place, and any hormonal contraception. So we're talking about the pill mostly here, but you've got the implant, you've got a hormonal coil, you've got the injection. Like, there are lots of other hormonal contraceptions. They all work in a similar way. So I think that the main thing for me, it's always about education and actually knowing what you're doing and why. And then once you have all of the information, you then make an informed decision. Sure. I think that's the main thing that I really struggle with and I have a problem with, is when people, and it's not just hormonal contraception, it's anything. Could be any medication or whatever. They just make a decision because one person told them to do it. Yeah. They haven't had all the information. I think that's what I struggle with.
I think that research does need to be done on it, but I don't think you're going to get any ethical sign-off, particularly if your thesis is this will change your personality, or because this is the lived experience. And it would be fascinating if you could have 100 people on an island. Yeah. One of my first psychology questions was 100 babies put on an island. What happens next? Wow. That was it.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And as an English lit student originally, I was like, yes,
that's amazing.
This is me. Let's get into it. I got absolutely ridiculed for my use of prelapsarian.
Oh.
But it is the right word to use. With something as big, as detailed as that, and maybe we'll never know, I wonder if there's like a grey area or maybe even a dark arts that you're aware of. And I would like to get on to why you're so interested in this. Professionally, as well as because I think everybody should be interested in it. Should's the wrong word. Is there a case for female athletes to take the pill or to not take the pill for improved performance, for instance?
Oh, that is an interesting question. So when you say improved performance, what do you mean?
So when you have a stable system rather than a balanced one, it's more predictable, your inputs, your outputs. If you have what looks like, on paper, hormonally, a more male client, I guess, you should be able to track. This is all theoretical.
Yeah, don't come at us in the comments.
That a certain dose or input would result in a certain output. So for instance, if it was training volume, they were training twice a week and muscle growth was the outcome they wanted, and you'd be able to see after 3 months whether there'd been an increase in tissue, all other variables like diet, sleep controlled for. Maybe bumping it up to 3 times a week. You could titrate really easily, I think. If the hormonal profile is up and down, it's maybe more difficult to see that.
So, again, I can't quote specific research because I don't know it off the top of my head. There is some research that suggests a slight improvement. And when I say slight improvement, I mean like minuscule in terms of muscle synthesis and progressive overload and stuff in the gym in your follicular phase, which is the first half of your cycle, compared to the second half, which is your luteal phase. However, the studies that have been done so far and the research that's there, there isn't really a general consensus that is the same. It is different in each one. And actually, this maybe links to a little bit of what's come about on social media more recently, is the cycle syncing stuff with exercise, that you are stronger at certain points of your cycle and that you're going to be better at certain points of your cycle. Actually, in terms of physical performance, there's hardly any difference.
Okay.
But in terms of maybe your mood or how you're feeling psychologically, there might be a difference. So I would say, to your original question around athletes, I'm not a doctor. I'm not, in this field, like, specifically, but I wouldn't say putting someone on the pill would make them a better athlete. If they are struggling with maybe very severe mood swings and things like that, potentially, because then that would maybe enable them to feel better about their sessions or something like that. But in terms of physical performance, I would probably say no.
No. Something that that's
a great question, though.
I would like more research on it. Yeah, and maybe we come back to it in a year's time.
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I got into coaching was because of a formative relationship for me, where my girlfriend lost their cycle through overtraining.
Underfueling and stuff, I imagine, yeah.
And part of that was trying to meet an ideal, and it might...
As in looking like physically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that might have been what she thought was my ideal.
Right.
And
that's a whole topic in itself as well, right?
A massive topic.
Yeah.
Because from my perspective, there were everything that she did from a fitness standpoint, I really admired her for. So the idea that she felt that she wasn't meeting my standard.
Did she do a specific sport, or?
She was into the gym and had pole fitness as an interest.
Okay. That is hard. I used to do that. It is savage.
An amazing sport. And I did it twice. My shins were so bruised.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to that. But things like the flag, I'm still very much interested in. When I knew where she was up to, and she told me basically what this pressure felt like and this expectation, I was just like, I can't believe that you're going through this and it's impacting you so much, because I wouldn't want you to like mute your hormones or to not have what is normal for you function for something that you think is, in my head, my standard, my ideal. It's always got to be your ideal.
Do you know where she got these, I guess, ideas or thoughts mainly from? Was it in certain classes or in the gym, or obviously a big one is social media?
I think social media, maybe classes. It's not my experience. And I don't necessarily feel guilty about it, because I'd like to think that our comms were good. We all, I imagine, at some level have a pressure to look good for our partners. But I would never ask anybody to overtrain or undereat or underfuel, underrecover, because the impacts down the line from that are low mood, less energy. I'm high energy. I want to go out on walks. I want to go to the gym. Like, I wouldn't want any of the thing that comes downstream from you not fueling enough. And so we had a chat about it, and we started training together. We got our PT qualifications at the same time.
Oh, that's so nice.
She pushed me to become a PT, and I've got no end of like admiration for that. She basically was my first archetypal client, like my first persona, if you use marketing.
Yeah.
And from there, just because I was thinking about this persona, my first, I think 5 out of 8 clients were female.
I was about to ask, do you think that's what pushed you more towards coaching women?
Yeah. 100%. But something that I did very early on was factor in that maybe around bleeding, things would be different. And I think that while my intention was good, it wasn't necessarily sound at the time. And I think I've updated my approach since.
So, to what?
Around bleeding, like a lot of my clients just want to train. Like they just need to get into the gym, bang some weights about. Maybe they've got their hoods up, their sweats on.
Bag it a different outfit.
Yeah, they're not talking to anyone.
Yeah.
But they want to get the work done.
Yeah.
The last thing they want to be told is not train.
Yep. This is why I don't like the cycle syncing stuff that's pushed on socials, because some people thrive and just want to go in and smash their session, whereas other people might be super tired and they might not want to do it.
For sure. And I think for the people who know that with regularity, mood is low, motivation's low, and actually, you know, there are 2 days where they just don't want to do anything other than be with a hot water bottle
Yeah.
and just take some time, like it's 2 days.
Yeah.
You go for that.
Yeah.
The concern that I have is that muscle laxity increases. And so there could be, particularly around heavy weightlifting, an increased injury risk is my understanding.
Yep.
And so that would be my take on it, is that you don't necessarily need to go into set PRs.
Yeah.
Just be mindful that there could be, you know, less stability than you're used to, or just a feeling that isn't necessarily peak.
What I kind of describe it with people who I coach is just going through the movement patterns. So you're not, you know, just sat down on your ass. You're actually still going through the motion of doing the thing that you said you were going to do. But yeah, you might not push yourself super hard, but you're still getting the work done.
For sure. I think the blanket approach is to say that around bleeding you don't do it. And again, everybody's going to be different anyway, but I just think that is a blanket that's too thick.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. And I actually have had some clients who actually are trained better on their period, which isn't the norm. Most people don't hit PBs and things at that point of their cycle, but I have some girls who absolutely smash it, and I don't know if it's the anger or I don't know, but they channel that because that's how their body works. So the whole thing of, you know, you must do yoga from day 1 to 7 of your cycle, I just no. If you want to do that, cool, but if you want to go in the gym and lift your normal weights, then yes, do that.
Amazing. And just on the point of doing yoga at any point in the cycle, as somebody who loves teaching a stretch class that's heavily influenced by the yogis that I've met, I have found that through lifting weights in the way that I do, I'm more mobile than I was, and more flexible. So I think for people who maybe aren't in the gym but want another reason to go, increased flexibility could be that. You just need to have the right coach and understanding of those movements.
Yep, completely agree.
Nicole, how did we get here? You are the owner, founder, runner of the Women's Wellbeing Club.
Yeah. What is it?
What is it? How did it happen?
I'll give you a little bit of my background for those that don't know. So yes, for the last nearly 2 years, I've had my community and business, the Women's Wellbeing Club, and I describe myself as a women's health educator because I help other coaches and I go into workplaces and teach on women's health and well-being. But I also describe myself as more of a holistic life coach for individual women. And when I say that, I mean, you know, I have my fitness qualifications, I've got my nutrition qualifications and everything, but because of my interest in women's health, physiology, all of that, and then also mindset, when someone does come to me for coaching, it's not just fitness. We look at everything in your life. And a big one recently, and my coaching, to be fair, has actually changed a little bit in the last couple of months because it is now more high touch and we kind of go much more on a deeper level in terms of your values, your desires, your boundaries, your relationships, your work, alongside your fitness and your nutrition. So everything really does like come hand in hand. But I wasn't always doing this. I wasn't always in women's health. I actually was in the corporate world for nearly 11 years as a product manager for finance companies and insurance companies. So again, very, very different. But throughout all of that, and I went to uni for my first degree and did that and then started working in corporate, linking back to the skin things and hormonal stuff that we were talking about before, I've always had kind of my own stuff going on. And I guess now on reflection, it was always kind of in the back of my mind with stuff that was going on with me, and maybe I didn't really see it at the time. And then when I kind of started to, I guess, go up in the corporate world and get bigger jobs and work for bigger companies and stuff, things just became a little bit more obvious. Like, actually, I have a passion for what I do now, and I was dealing with my own stuff. So I left the corporate world nearly 2 years ago now.
We have had an incredible first 6 months. But if we want to grow, we need those likes and comments and subscribe numbers to go up, and better yet, for you to share what you find interesting. The more you share it, the more people get to hear about it, the more the algorithms will rate what it is that we're up to here. to go from corporate to well-being, I was pushed before I could jump.
Okay. So I didn't know you were in corporate
Yeah.
before. Okay.
So I was an account director for a startup.
Yeah.
Can I say I was poached? Maybe I can say that. I was working at a big agency, which I really liked.
Yeah.
And there was this opportunity to work for a smaller business, but the idea of more autonomy, I'll be able to build my team out. At the time sounded very exciting.
Yeah.
And we were just coming out of the back of lockdown when the perks of working for the big agency in the middle of Soho, we weren't having the parties.
Yeah.
We weren't meeting the clients anymore.
Yeah.
You were hot desking, but you weren't with your team anymore. It went from being a big party to being a ghost town.
Yeah.
Those skyscrapers, when people aren't in them,
Yeah,
scary places to be. I lived in central London as well, so through lockdown to like it was 28 days later. People going about the amazing shots of Cillian Murphy. That was a Wednesday afternoon for me.
Yeah.
I got into running because the streets were so empty.
Yeah.
The startup ran out of money to pay me, which was sad, not unexpected. But as I say, I'd been working on the PT stuff in the background.
Yeah. Similar.
Yeah. And I think when you look backwards, it's always so much easier to connect the dots and go, that's why I'm here now.
Yeah.
I know that obviously you have gone from corporate to this, but you built something. You built something that has structure. And I don't want to say that corporate's toxic. It's just the number of people that I know who've gone from marketing jobs, from legal jobs, into running their own businesses, becoming PTs. Is it a sense of not everybody's going to feel restricted by a 9 to 5? Not everybody's going to feel like finance is soul destroying. There are lots of different reasons to move.
I, similar to you, was building, I guess, my fitness. It was a fitness business to start with. It wasn't what I do now. It's developed quite a lot over the last couple of years. Because of lockdown happened and I was still working. I was actually one of the only people in my friendship group that was still working. Everyone else was furloughed. Right. But obviously had more free time. And something that had always really bothered me was when you went into gyms, looking at the PTs or whatever, and actually so many of them being awful and not teaching people how to do things properly, or, asking them questions and they wouldn't know the answers. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to dive into information myself. So I got like fitness qualifications, PT qualifications, mainly for myself. I wasn't going to do anything with them. And then I just started helping some friends, and then I started doing classes, and I was like, oh, actually this is really fun and I really enjoy it. Oh. So started building up, the fitness business alongside my corporate job. I did really like my corporate job. I was good at it. I was a product manager, so I was working with lots of people in the business, and I'm very much a people person. So I really, really enjoyed it. But it then kind of got to a point where I still was going through stuff myself whilst working the job. And then actually, for me, at that point was where I really started probably taking women's health more seriously for me, and like the whole just category area, whatever you want to call it, of women's health, not just like here's your fitness plan and build some muscles and build your bum. Like it was more about actually what's going on inside like a female body. And I think for me to have the business that I have now and how it's developed in terms of my life coaching and then obviously educating other coaches, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was still in the corporate job. Like the effort and the time that I needed to be like, right, you need to be strategic with your own business and your own time versus someone else's. I had to make that decision. So I had like an original plan of when I was going to leave and, like phase things out and like go part-time for a little bit and then do that. Like I had it all in my head. And then I had a week at work, which was just horrible. And I had awful meetings and I was just like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And I literally handed in my notice the next day, which obviously then my plan went out the window of this is when I'm going to like leave and stuff. But then I had to do it, right? I left my job and I had to do it. So it was still kind of the fitness stuff to start with. And then over the last nearly 2 years, it's developed into more so women's health as a whole and education But then I do find it quite funny because now I'm going back into workplaces to support women in the workplace and teach on women's health and performance and things like that, which is obviously where I've come from. So I've kind of left, and then now I'm like, hi everyone, now I need to teach you everything that you should know about women's health for your employees. So full circle moment, really.
Which is huge, and I think we are often 2-3 years ahead of the people that we pick up as clients, aren't we?
Yeah. I always say you teach down.
For sure. And hopefully we can find mentors, we can find leaders that we look up to as well. You know, so I do think that a good mentor is somebody who mentees but is also mentored.
Yes, absolutely.
Just like therapists should have therapy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like we're all learning from each other every direction. For you to go back into workplaces, what is the sort of stuff, what's the ground that you would cover for women in the workplace?
So there's a couple different things that I do specifically in the workplace. So one is more like keynote sessions or workshops on a specific topic. So whether that be, I don't know, confidence and empowerment, or performance and fueling and things like that, to help throughout the day if you are in quite a high demanding like corporate job, you know, staying on like all the time, which are great. And they can be anywhere between maybe like 1 or 2 hours, depending on who's there, and you can kind of do activities and stuff like that. And then the other thing that I developed last year and we're starting to implement now this year with people in companies is what I've called women's health champions within the workplace. So have you heard of mental health first aiders? Yes. So it's a very similar concept to a mental health first aider, but for women's health advocacy and knowledge within the workplace. So it's similar to mental health first aiders. You either have your training and your course material done in person with a group of you or a department. You take obviously a little exam at the end, and then you are a women's health champion within your workplace, or you can do it online if, you know, timings or whatever don't allow. So yeah, that's something that when I was in corporate spaces, and what I found talking to more corporate spaces, a lot of them have networking groups or, I don't know, like diversity and equality groups and things like that. But there was a big gap between actually having the groups and the discussions and then the action to then have something off the back of it. So for me, I have tried to fill that gap, right? And now it's really nice actually, because we're talking to some startups, smaller organizations versus bigger organizations that want to have, you know, women's health advocates within their workplace, which is great. But still there are some companies that really don't care, and other companies who are like, oh my God, yes, this is amazing. So like the spectrum of people who I speak to and the type of industry or workplaces, again, is massive. And to be fair, it's kind of going alongside stuff that is happening now in the UK government and their employment rights bill and equality bills and things like that going through. From 2027, I think it's April 2027, people in organisations that have more than 250 employees have to have like equality plans and menopause plans, for example, in place in their work. Because again, just off that stat, for example, in menopause, the percentage of women that leave their jobs because they don't feel supported, they don't have the right information, and their symptoms are too much to manage with everything else going on is really, really high. So things like that coming into play and having things that are mandatory that companies have to do is great. But for me, it should be like, across the board, not just like one specific thing.
When you say across the board, what should be across the board?
So right now within that legislation is menopause action plans. For me, it should be menstrual, like from reproductive years all the way through to menopause, which is actually what my training does cover. We do everything from menstrual cycles, abnormalities, fertility, IVF, time on and off work, all the way through menopause, actually what to look out for, certain charities to signpost, certain days in the year. So actually all this information that you can have, and then make sure that your female colleagues have access to it and know exactly where they can go and who to speak to.
This is potentially a spiky thing to ask.
Yeah.
When we talk about equality,
Yes.
do we actually want equality?
Oh, do you know what? I actually have a reel coming out about this week. For me, I think the big thing that often people don't understand is the difference between equity and equality.
Yeah.
Because to achieve equality, everyone has to be from a level playing field, which is equity, right? And if, for example, females, as we're talking about that right now, if we're not on the same playing field before we even start to go off the bat of things, then of course it's never going to be equal and you're not going to get equality.
No.
In terms of maybe workplaces or whatever. I actually then probably have a controversial opinion off the back of that in terms of anatomy, physiology, my makeup, my, bones, my anatomy, everything is completely different to a man's. Yeah. And that's never going to be the same. So in terms of equality that way, or what you potentially get from, I don't know, certain movements or whatever in the gym, linking back to fitness, it might not ever be the same or the same power because we're built completely differently. And that's okay because we're completely different. So I think there's lots of things that come off the back of that. But the one thing for me is people don't understand the difference between, equality and equity to make sure everyone can have equality at the end. Yeah.
I think that you will hear about spaces like the manosphere and the disaffected young males and the disaffected...
I've had that on my socials recently.
But they've been throughout time.
Yeah.
And without getting too political, what often would happen to the young men is that they would go off to fight. Mm-hmm. And that would be a use of this population that maybe was pent up or repressed in their own way. And they could go off and they could be victorious, they could be brave, they could die, they could serve a purpose. Speaking as a man, I know that when I feel low, when I feel depressed, when I felt suicidal, it's because I've not had a purpose. And this isn't like a pity party thing. I think it's that we don't want equality. We want people to be seen on a person by person basis. And there'll be some people who just feel absolutely great going into work every single day. And there'll be other people who think, my God, I am picking things up and putting them down again, and I'm putting other people's plates away, and somebody has spilt a bottle all over the gym floor. This sounds really specific, doesn't it? But like, I love my job now in a way that 18-year-old me would be devastated if he'd heard maybe. You know, like I've found a sense of purpose.
That's what I was going to think. It comes back to that purpose. So what you find purpose in something might not be what I find purpose in something, and I find it in someone else. Or again, everyone's going to be different. But I feel like if you can find that for you, then everything else is going to feel better, right? And everything else can feed into that one purpose or multiple purposes, depending on what.
100%. One of my favourite images, and I think it ties back into this, is that the reason why we don't want a blanket playing field, we want things to be different as they're needed, is because of the notion that, as you say, we're built differently, we have different thoughts. At different times of the day, we might be feeling different things. Like there's an energy level, there's a personality level, there's an emotional level, there's an experience level. All of this means that we can't just have blanket. Like everybody should have a platform. There should be access to things.
Everyone should be able to have the same access.
I think that's 100%. The important point.
Yeah.
But I would like to think that it is possible. Perpetual motion might not be possible, but the virtuous cycle is a very specific WhatsApp chat that I have. Where it's back and forth with positive things. And things that might lighten up your day, or like a philosophical point that you've not thought on. But it's another way to see the world as bright, as hopeful, as full of opportunity. And the image that for me goes with it is giving somebody a leg up, but somehow they also give you a leg up. And I don't know what that looks like. Maybe it looked like the Isle of Man 3 legs in some way. You know, it's not physically possible. But the idea...
actually, the thing that's come into my head with that is the person obviously underneath who gives you the leg up, and then the person that's just done that gives you an arm, and then you can pull them up with the arm.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you keep on pulling each other up. And I love it as a feeling, as an idea. And that's what I would like to see. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how it works, but...
I say it's such a nice concept. I was like, is that actually going to happen?
Is it going to happen? The point, ultimately, if you feel like we've gotten to it, is that different people need different things.
Yes.
If we can all have an amount of access that enables us to get at those things for when we need them, that's what we should be aspiring for. Not necessarily that everybody has the same... I don't use the word right, that's when it becomes problematic, but access, I think, is going to be the word that we use.
Yeah.
You think that's fair to say?
Yes, I do. I agree with that. Yeah. I think you're right, everyone's needs are different, everyone wants different things, but for example, if we both wanted the same thing, but you're halfway there and you've had access to get there and I haven't, that to me is not fair, right? But actually, if we can just get to a place where everyone can then have the opportunity to do what they want to do and pursue a passion or develop what they want to develop, I think that's would be a lovely place to get to, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
What stops, or maybe that's the wrong way to look at it, why do you think that you need to go into workplaces to help women with confidence and with stress and anxiety and these things?
I think this comes back to education. I say we in terms of women, but both men and women, I don't feel like ever taught it properly. Again, especially for women, when we're talking about access to things or getting the right information or being dismissed or not being listened to, that is why. And I feel like for me, I experienced it myself, so I know how it feels firsthand. But also, I've seen other women go through it, not just at my age, at different ages, when you first come through work, when you're like, I don't know, 18, 19, all the way up to 55, 60, 65 before they go for retirement, right? Yeah. It is, again, across everyone. It's not just one demographic. I do think it depends, as I said before, on the type of workplace that you're in and how open they are to conversation, to learning about things, to, in general, just supporting minorities in the workplace. It doesn't necessarily have to be women. It could be a cultural thing, as we've said before. But obviously that's the space that I'm in, so that's what I'm focusing on. But it's the giving people the right information to make the informed choice off the back of that. Yeah. And actually, again, in workplaces, the more that you look after your employees, the better they are going to be. They are going to perform better. They are probably going to stay with you longer. They're not going to leave. It saves you money. Like all of, there's so many benefits to you actually looking after the people that are working for you and doing the jobs that you have. And I still find it really funny how a lot of people don't put those two things together.
Yeah. It's opportunity cost, missed cost, investment cost. Like people just don't spot it.
Yeah.
Something that I have laughed at in various relationships is how when I used to go clean shaven, invariably one of my razors would go missing. Yeah. And I would ask about it and it would show up, maybe in a bedside drawer. Yeah. It's just like, what's happening here? I'm fairly certain that's mine. Men's razors are better, cheaper. Yeah. In Germany, there was a moment where women protested for menstrual products to have the same tax as any basic hygiene product. I don't think the legislation was passed, though, until they successfully protested. Do you know how they protested?
No.
They put pads into books and sold books which had a lesser tax rate than menstrual products.
Oh, wow.
So you buy this book, and I think it was basically about the cycle and flow. Yeah. But it had pads in it.
I need to find that. I need to find where that is.
And obviously that's a ridiculous thing to have happened, but so well executed that I'm fairly certain it became part of legislature.
Sometimes we have to be ridiculous.
You say that.
Well, maybe we shouldn't have to be ridiculous.
We shouldn't have to be ridiculous, but you have recently come against a ridiculous piece of this.
Yes, I have, on social media. So if people that follow me will have seen it, but those that haven't, I did a Instagram reel, and the hook, the caption on the actual video footage itself, I can't remember my exact words, but it was basically like, because men don't have periods, there isn't menstrual products in public bathrooms unless you have to pay for them. And when I say that, I mean like you have to, you know, £5, £6, £7, £8 for a tampon or a pad in these machines that you have in public bathrooms. Right? It's not free. And my whole concept was there should be just free basic menstrual products in public spaces, whether that's shopping centres, airports, whatever, you know, train stations. And it completely blew up. And when I say this, I've never had this happen to me before. And I think now, I don't know what the figure is because I don't have time to look, but I think we're on like 2.5 million views. We have hundreds of thousands of comments. And I'm going to say 95% of the comments, I actually made another Instagram reel off the back of this saying, when the incels find your comments, because what I have received has been horrific. Like, it's been so derogatory, blaming women for things, extremes of maybe, you know, you should be in the kitchen or you shouldn't go to work, all the way through to actually having people tell me to kill myself. And yeah, it is actually, I can't believe it. I actually can't believe it. And I'm still getting stuff come through. And that reel was posted maybe mid-December. And yeah, it is mind-blowing how something that, yes, it is controversial, but how something, in my opinion, quite small, has triggered so many men, because most of them are men, to feel like it shouldn't be a thing, and how horrible they've been in the comments. It's ridiculous.
What has happened? Like, I don't necessarily want to go into specific actions that you've been requested to do or not do, but where does the trigger come from, do you think?
So my original thing, and this is actually what I've actually learned and understand now from all this happening, people don't read stuff properly. No. So from the writing on the reel versus the caption, that's what it's called, isn't it? The caption. If you were to read the caption fully, you then understand what I'm talking about is in public spaces, it's not free. We have to pay all this money if we don't have anything in our bag or whatever. But the main bit was saying, you know, because men don't have periods, that's why we don't have them in public bathrooms. And I think a big thing is a lot of, I would say, insecure men just feel like they're being attacked for everything and feel like they're being blamed for everything. But actually, a lot of what is in our society has been very led by men and has been very male focused. So things like that, in my opinion, that's why we don't have them in public spaces, because it's never been thought to have them in public spaces, right? And I just think people are very quick to jump on something without reading something properly or whatever. Because again, some of the comments were like, where's this free toilet paper? I have to pay for toilet paper for my house. And I'm like, you haven't read the caption. I'm not talking about buying toilet paper from the shop. Right? Can you please read? So this is what I mean. People just see something and they're like, you know, and just like completely go at it. But it's just like spiraled. I thought I would get some, like, you know, I was trying to ruffle some feathers, but I never in a million years thought it would do what it has. No, like at all.
No. I remember seeing it about an hour after it went live, and I think I sent you a message just like, like you've done really well with that, like it was a good hook. Yeah,
just like, oh, you've got good engagement. I think in the first hour it had like a few thousand things. I was like, oh, it's quite decent, you know, because my page isn't huge. It's got quite good engagement. But yeah, I was like, okay, cool. Went to bed, woke up to like over 1 million views within like the first 12 hours. I was like, what the hell? And then, the hate comments started coming.
Which is an aspect of what we deal with and see, that you and I could have the best intentions to put out the best information possible, but it's actually something that shouldn't upset people that ends up being the biggest thing. Yeah. And the engagement and the reach of it is mostly down to hate and misunderstanding and people not actually, as you say, taking the time to read. Yeah. And that was the thing, because yes, I get the whole thing of
if you're, your council tax or, the tax that you pay anyway goes into things like having a shopping centre, having things in the shopping centre. But, especially in the UK, 51% of the population are women. So if we're trying to, if something happens and we're not prepared, or that's what I was saying in my reel afterwards, we've bled through our products already and we need something quickly, we might not have £10 in our purse to buy something from the machine. And, in the UK right now, I think the figure is 2.8 million women are in period poverty. So they are having to make up some sort of product, whether that be socks, whether it be lots and lots of tissue, either having to keep certain products in, like a tampon, for extended periods of time, which again can cause infection because they can't afford to buy this stuff. So in my opinion, Scotland have done it. Scotland have free menstrual products in public spaces. Okay. So I don't understand why everywhere else can't do it, right? And off the back of it, I'm actually trying to get a UK petition to be live, and hopefully it will go live at the end of February. I'm just waiting for a couple of things to fall into place to get this through, because I just think it's insane. And I still see all these machines, like £10 for one pad that you get out of the thing, which I'm sure you don't have in your male toilets, right?
No, I think the only experience I've got of this is in Mexico recently, where you'd pay 7 pesos to use a public toilet. Yeah. And you'd be given some tissue paper. Yeah. Or, anybody who needed the menstrual product would be given a tampon or a pad. And, it's frustrating for somebody who is used to weeing wherever to pay 7 pesos and to not even need the tissue. But I got it as a gesture, You keep things ticking over. Yeah. Because sure, somebody's got to pay for it at some level. Yeah. But it's not offensive. Yeah. It's just what we need to do. Yeah. And I think that was actually something that came up in the comments, is like, oh, well, men don't need to use them, so why should we pay more tax or more whatever for you all to use them? And I'm thinking, because it's a biological thing. Yeah. Like, it's not something that just, we choose to do. It happens. And one of the other, when I say other comments, there's obviously so many, but like the themes that come out is, just be prepared. Why have you not got stuff in your bag? Why do you not know when your period's going to be here? You clearly just have no idea. And this, again, for me, comes all the way back to education. Yeah. Being open to education, being taught the right things from a young age, and being supportive, and being nice and kind to everyone around you, like not being almost selfish. Like, it just, I think, and this is something to admit, but I think everybody can admit it, so I don't necessarily feel any way about it. Maybe you've experienced this as well. How many arguments have you been in, or even started, because you felt insecure? Oh, so many. Yeah. So many. And the number of evenings I've wasted because I didn't just express my misunderstanding. Yeah. Yep. This is one of the biggest things that I actually now work on with clients in life coaching, is communication. Yeah. And the emotional regulation that we were saying before, and how to express certain things and ask for clarity, understanding a boundary, setting a boundary. And something else that actually has come up so I'm doing, for people that don't know, I'm doing a master's in women's health in London. And at the moment I'm doing a legal and ethics module. And something that came up is that people can't have discussions anymore because people are so easily triggered or offended, or aren't used to someone having a difference of opinion. And just because someone has a differing opinion does not mean they're a bad person, does not mean you can't be friends with them, does not mean that you can't have a conversation about it. Because if everyone had the same opinions and everyone liked the same stuff, we would live in a very weird world, right? So I think that's one thing as well that I think social media, linking it back to what we're talking about, has made so much worse, is it feels like no one can put an opinion out without someone being like, oh my gosh, like it's an opinion. Yeah. People can have difference of opinion. So, yeah.
bugs me.
What do you not get asked? What do you not get to talk about that you wish you could?
Oh, what, as in from just in general, or?
I feel that we're similarly riled by social media, for instance.
I love it and hate it at the same time.
Yeah, and we both had experiences of moving from corporate to trying to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you're describing of it being holistic, part of the reason why I'm interested in fitness and thinking, why we're sat here now, is because we both believe in fitness being more than the gym. But I would say, for instance, as a topic that I've not yet covered enough, certainly on the podcast, is sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And sleep pressure. I've had a couple of my clients message me saying, all right, don't shout about me too loudly.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've not called anyone out.
Yeah,
it's just an observation.
Yeah.
That I think people reliant on diagnoses to fix their situation.
Yes.
While also staying up until 1 a.m. looking at a screen.
Yep.
And not changing habits that cause bad days.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
lifestyle habits.
Lifestyle's huge, and sleep is something that we can all hopefully control, or at least have more say on.
Yes.
Is a topic that I'd like to get into more.
Yeah.
And the concept of sleep pressure is like a little sub-brand of that I really like.
Yeah.
Which is that some people don't actually move enough in the day to be tired at night.
Oh my gosh, I say this is me, not all the time, but I have so much energy, or like I need to do so much to be tired. Mm-hmm. So the other day, for example, and my training right now, sorry, linking this back to fitness, has completely changed over the last year / a little bit more, because I'm doing triathlons, so my training has completely changed. So now I'm kind of used to like upping the level of activity of stuff that I have to do. So there was a day this week, I can't remember what day it was, that I didn't do any exercise, or I didn't do my normal stuff. It took me hours to get to sleep because I haven't done enough. Like my body is not physically tired for me to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is something that we're all affected by, but might not necessarily have the language for, or like sleep pressure. I think it's a wonderful phrase, because it's this need to go to sleep because you've done enough in the day to wear you out.
I've never heard of it called that before. It's interesting.
The homeostatic sleep drive, I think, is a technical term for it, which I think has been in use since the 40s. But I like sleep pressure. It's this thing.
It's easier to say.
You're being squashed into your bed, basically, by the amount that you've done, or you've been thinking, or,
Yeah.
So I wondered, given that this is such a big field, and we will talk about things that are applicable to big populations, but if there was a topic that maybe you wanted to give more light, or that interests you specifically that you've not brought up yet?
We spoke about it a little bit off camera, which is supplementation. And I think from a female perspective on supplementation, only because this is a big thing that always comes up when I'm speaking to people, or when people ask me questions, what supplements should I take? Or what should I do? Like, where do I buy it from? A lot of supplements that are marketed at women are no different to the supplements that you would buy or that anyone would buy from a shop. And it really, really frustrates me because, again, it comes down to, the exploitation of women, basically. Magnesium, for example, it's what I said to you before. Both men and women should be taking that. It's really great for sleep, recovery, hormone regulation. Sometimes probably women should take a little bit more of it. But the magnesium glycinate that you use is exactly the same that I could use. Yeah. It doesn't have to be in this pink, flowery, purple packet that costs £10 more than the one that you buy. So that is probably something for anyone listening, that if you're looking at, again, lifestyle approach, sleep, exercise, diet, and you're looking at what supplements you can pop into your lifestyle to make things better, don't be subject to all of the kind of crazy marketing that comes from the women's health space. Yes, taking supplements is helpful, but you don't have to buy the one that's marketed for women only, because it's probably no different to the one that you have.
No. And I think obviously Women's Wellbeing Club is going to be a place where people can get access to this information, to have everything debunked.
Yeah.
I've just noticed on your hand, that's where my eyes are going.
Yeah.
You've got an aura ring on there.
Yes, I have. Da-da-da.
So talk to us about that. How has this impacted your day to day?
So there's a bit of a story. So I've got also a watch on, and I'll say why I've got both. So I used to have a Fitbit. Like I'm not like a bougie person that has all the fancy things. Mainly for my steps.
Okay.
And this is when I was training more, I would say, bodybuilder style a few years ago. And then I got so annoyed with having a watch. And I was like, I don't want it. I don't want to look at the data. I was getting so frustrated. And I got rid of it. And then I was like, now I can't really track my steps. And at the time I was looking for different things to not have I basically didn't want a screen. I wanted something that I didn't want to have to see. And then I found the rings. Yeah. And at that time also I was using an app called Natural Cycles, which can help you track your menstrual cycle. But a main part of that is taking your temperature. And the reason that you take your temperature for menstrual cycles is to see if you've ovulated. Okay. Because when you ovulate, your temperature goes up and then it will kind of drop back down again when you're in your luteal phase. And I was doing that with like the thermometer that comes with the app. And I'm thinking, how can I do all of this at once? I don't want to have loads of different devices. And this does your sleep, it does your temperature, you can log different things in there. It obviously does your kind of recovery of your body and things like that. So for me, this was like, great, I can have everything there and I don't have to have a screen. And then I decided to do triathlons. And I was like, now I don't really know how to track my workouts properly or my endurance or my whatever. So I then had to get another watch. So I hate wearing these things, but it's not for anything outside of tracking my sessions for my triathlon. This is like the best thing.
And you find that adds to quality of life? What do you get from wearing that you didn't before?
Mostly ease.
Okay. Because
for me it was the temperature that can just fit into everything else that I already have. So I'm not having to like manually do my temperature every single morning.
No.
And if I didn't have this, you can put your exercise and stuff in it. It kind of tracks your activity and things, but I just need it a bit more specific on the stuff that I'm doing. So if I wasn't doing triathlons, this would literally be all that I have.
But when you say that you're tracking your temperature, why are you specifically interested in ovulation?
So coming back to cycle chat, ovulation is the most important part of a menstrual cycle. And when that happens, you can kind of tell roughly, without doing blood tests and things like that, if your hormones are working properly because of the temperature increase. And to do that most effectively, taking it every day at the same time is the best. And obviously that does it for you when you're just wearing it all the time. Yeah. Okay.
There's a point that I want to come to a client question, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
Because I think you're in a good position to answer it. And
hopefully.
And I really like the idea that do you have your ADHD diagnosis?
Yes.
Yeah.
I got my certificate, got my sheet of paper.
Okay, cool. Because so many of my mates are just like, I'm obviously undiagnosed ADHD. And it's like, obviously in the sense that you've not got a diagnosis. You doing triathlons seems to align perfectly with somebody who might have ADHD. You've got 3 things to focus on at the same time.
Yeah, I'm always doing stuff.
Are you training for triathlons now because it feels better from a mental perspective? You said you did bodybuilding before. I found running last year, for instance, having mostly done a bodybuilding style up until that point.
Yeah.
What was it for you that made you change your training, and is it aligned with women's wellbeing stuff?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one, right? So when I say bodybuilding, I never did competitions or preps, but again, when I was in that kind of corporate space, I needed something or someone to be like, do this, making sure that my body was in decent shape and, I was a bit more disciplined and things like that. And this was before I got my ADHD diagnosis. So again, on reflection, I'm like, I need someone to like make sure that I'm doing the things that I say. It all makes sense. So I got into, I guess, bodybuilding training through a coach, like a transformation coach, and did a few photo shoots, which was really cool and learned a lot and obviously helped me in my fitness business. Throw it back even more, I used to swim a lot when I was younger. For like my town and swim club and stuff. So when I was younger and like as a teenager, I was quite exposed to like training a lot with swimming. But then when I went to university, discovered alcohol and, you know, all of that, and stopped swimming. So I didn't really do anything for a long period of time, and then obviously got into kind of the gym and stuff like that. And I actually saw my mum did a couple of triathlons. My mum used to run, and she did some like marathons and stuff, and then she did a couple of triathlons, and I would always go and watch, and I thought it was really cool. And then actually a few years ago, my dad did an Ironman, and watching him do the Ironman was like, I cannot explain how incredible it was. And seeing all the different types of people that completed this Ironman was like, well, I can do it then. Like, I get such an inspiration of like watching other people do stuff. Yeah. And I say yes to everything. I think this is an ADHD thing. I just want to do everything. So I think I've done pretty much so much stuff in my life because I'm just like, yeah, let's go do it. But watching this, I was like, right, now my dad's done it, I need to do it. It's like almost a bit of competition as well. So started just doing little bits, and then I was like, oh, do I really want to do it? I don't know. And then I did a few like smaller ones last year. So the first ever one triathlon I did was last August. And it's just so like, you're just doing so much stuff all the time, right? And it's kind of different disciplines. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, okay, we'll see. And then I booked a half Ironman for this July. Okay. And then I found out that my dad was doing that one as well, and some of his friends. So I'm like, right, okay, now it's on. Like, the competition is on. Yeah. And the goal, the overall goal, is to do a full Ironman next year in 2027. So originally, no, it wasn't to match up with things that was going on. But actually, even thinking back to my, I guess, bodybuilding type training days and just training in general, I much prefer things like circuits or stuff that I'm just not doing the same thing over and over again, probably because my brain gets bored a lot easier than the average person. Yeah. So yes, I can follow a plan. I like having a plan, which, or actually, to be fair, this is going off on a tangent, very ADHD people, sorry. I do definitely have autistic traits too. So now when I'm looking into more research and reading more books, I definitely feel that I could be a crossover of, when you see it written down, is AU, ADHD. Yeah. I'm not diagnosed, but I definitely have certain traits. So it's kind of a mixture of like, I need to follow a plan, I need to have structure, and I need to know what I'm doing, yet I'm so chaotic. It's really hard to explain when someone doesn't necessarily have it or feels the same way. But linking back to, does it work with ADHD? Yes, because I feel like I'm always like having to do something new and having to do something fun, which obviously keeps me engaged. It is a lot though, especially with obviously working or trying to obviously scale a business. And then I decided to do a master's at the same time. Again, like, this is so ADHD, it's so classic ADHD. And it's in a different city, so I have to travel. I'm just like, it is just mental, but you know, we move. So that's all going on. And then also in September, I decided that I wanted to play rugby. So then I joined a rugby team. Obviously, yeah. Why not? Why would you not just add rugby to that? Potential injury risk and everything, you know, that's so great. So now I do that as well. And the thing that I'm actually seeing with, I guess, women's health and that whole aspect is more into athletes and more into actually underfueling and REDS, so relative energy deficiency, which is when, I guess, you are not fueling yourself enough to perform, or when for example, your menstrual cycle may disappear, or you might see differences with your skin and hair. So all of that is basically like lower energy. I can't remember what the thing stands for. It's LEA. Basically, you don't have enough fuel, so your body starts to shut down, which is more common in endurance athletes. So coming at it from a different angle and seeing kind of new things going on, it is very interesting. And actually, with my master's, within my dissertation, obviously when I get to that point, I am actually tempted to explore potential stuff like that for my dissertation topic. Energy in athletes and hormone fluctuations there, or certain ages. That's a bit way off, but yeah, maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll come back around. Sorry, that was the most ADHD answer ever.
I think I understand it, but I'm not going to say it because I'm undiagnosed. I get told off for doing too much.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I get that a lot, but then also I feel like I've tried not doing a lot. I've tried just sitting, and I'm like, what do people do with their time? What do people do with your free time when you're not doing stuff? So
I don't get it. I've got Saturdays completely off.
Yeah.
And they drive me mad.
Yeah. I feel it is bad, and everyone's going to be like, you tell us to have days off and prioritise. But I don't have a day off.
No.
But mostly I love what I do. So, and when I say I don't have a day off, I have maybe like, I don't know, the day off if I'm going out and I'm doing something or hanging out with my friends or going to watch sport. And then maybe I'll do some messages in the evening, or maybe I'll do some laptop stuff. But to me, that doesn't necessarily feel like full on work, because I like what I do. I have made sure now, though, in the last year for definite, that I have like maybe 1 or 2 weeks a year where I like go on holiday, or like have 3 or 4 days like fully off messages and like don't do anything. But outside of that, I really struggle to not do stuff because I just generally enjoy it, which is probably why I left corporate, actually, because I feel like I'm more passionate about what I do now than building websites for people.
Yeah, I hear that. All right. Do you think maybe we'll give it a go with my client's question?
Yes, of course. Yeah, hopefully I can answer.
It ties back into the archetypal, the persona. If somebody were to lose their cycle, or maybe they've been on the contraceptive pill for a while, and they've stopped taking it, but their cycle's not come back after X amount of time. What is your mindset? What's your advice to people concerned?
Okay, so that is actually quite normal if someone comes off hormonal contraception and their cycle's all over the place, or they don't have one yet. I'd probably want to know how long that's been for, because if it's, for example, between 3 and 6 months, I would still say that's pretty normal. But you must be making sure that you're doing everything else in your lifestyle to help your body regulate that function. So you say diet, lifestyle, movement, all of that. If it's been any longer than that, I would go to a GP or a specialist coach, mainly to speak about your lifestyle and everything that you're kind of trying to do and how you're feeling, but potentially then getting your bloods done just to see where your hormones are. You can do that at home. There are some really, really good home kits, but obviously if you do that with a coach, for example, I sometimes get my clients to do this, and if there's anything out of the ordinary, then we would work with a doctor to get a diagnosis or something. But yes, it is quite normal because of, when we were saying before, the hormonal contraception stops your body from doing that main function of ovulating and basically releasing certain hormones at certain times from your brain to different parts of your body. So when you stop taking that thing that's suppressing everything, it's gonna take time to regulate on what it would be for you. Something else to note maybe is how long you were on the pill for, and also what were you on the pill for in the first place. Because if you were on the pill, for example, before, if your cycles weren't regular, then you've come off the pill and they're probably not just suddenly going to be regular again, right? So it depends on specifics of that person, but hopefully that gives a little bit of...
I think it's amazing, and maybe it's a nice lead in for where you would send people who are generally interested in women's well-being, for one, but cycle supplements that are worth taking, for instance. Where do you want to link it?
I'll do that one first, because that is a big one. So general supplements for women's health, I would say the top ones are magnesium glycinate, B6, and you can sometimes get those together or they're separate, whether they're pills or powders, it's fine. Another really good one is zinc. Again, just for recovery, hormonal regulation, sleep, all these things like go very, very hand in hand to then what your hormones are like afterwards. And omega-3s, or like omega complex. So obviously healthy fats is what's going to help your cells communicate, also going to help your brain, your concentration, and then inflammation is also like a good one to partner with that. Again, all of those you can get from food, but if you are thinking that you want some more, or you want to just make sure that you're getting enough, then yeah, you can get those from anywhere. And even just, I hate saying it, but Amazon, you can buy them from Amazon, or go to Holland and Barrett or wherever. What I would say is, on anything, just check the ingredients on the back, that it hasn't got like loads of bulk fillers and things like that in. But pretty much, yeah, you'll be able to get those from anywhere.
You're so like on your mission to helping people that I was just expecting you to link to your website.
No, you can. Well, to be fair, I don't. You can get some kind of free information from my website. So it is literally just thewomenswellbeingclub.com and it will come up. Instagram is _NA Williams is my main one, where it's more about educational stuff.
Sure.
And then the other Instagram on the Women's Wellbeing Club is more around the coaching, the one-to-one and things that you can implement and stuff like that. But yeah, if like my messages are always open. I do reply to everything myself. It's not someone else. That is actually something, it's a whole different topic in itself, but I am not the type of coach or the type of business person that just like hands off things to other members of a team or other coaches. Like, it is literally just me that does everything. So you will be speaking directly to me, not anyone else. Amazing.
Is there anything we've not covered that you don't get into?
Oh gosh, I don't think so. I hope that it's been really helpful. And as I said, my messages are always open. So if anything that's popped in your mind from talking about stuff like this, or if you're maybe struggling with certain things or want to know what to ask the doctor or anything like that, please message me, because I will help.
Perfect.
Promise.
Thank you for making it to Nottingham.
Yes. Yeah. From Bristol people.
It's commitment. I appreciate it.
No, it's good.
Cheers, Nicole.
Yeah. So good. I love that.
We have no sponsors at the moment. I'm not looking for a penny, cent or peso from you, just for your support. If you like what we're up to, please do leave a 5-star review where you can. Please do leave a comment saying what you like, saying what you change, saying what it is that you do differently, and 100% share it with your friends, family, partners, workmates, whoever needs to hear the ideas that we're going to explore through this year and have already explored. Share it with them.